Hey, this is a post tonight actually about narcissism. Um, but eh, when I was thinking of what to say, it occurred to me that this instrument here, the mouth, is the most powerful tool for painting pictures. And if for any reason your mouth is zipped up, closed off, otherwise inaccessible to you, um, it's never going to be possible for you to convey or share your reality with anybody else. Now, what is narcissism? Well, I'll tell you one of the key characteristics of a narcissist's behavior. A narcissist is constantly trying to manage your reality so that it fits their phony reality. Of course, your reality is a lived, true experience. You're not making it up. And if it's inconvenient for the narcissist in your environment, that the reality you are seeing doesn't, if it's inconvenient for them, if it doesn't suit their picture of the make believe world that all narcissists live in, they're going to try and change that. And they change that by what is called gaslighting. They're always painting pictures of what's untrue so that they can continue to live in their dream world. And it makes you feel as if there's something wrong with you because the dream world that they're wanting to convey for you isn't real. Now, here's the thing about narcissism, it's not just an individual behavior trait, whole societies can be narcissistic. And right now, we're living in a society which is behaving in such a narcissistic way that a battery. Let me just flip a machine off here because it's making rather too much noise. And now you know that this is authentically a live post. Um, the 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 thing um, about narcs is that, and societies that behave in a narcissistic way, is that they can paint a picture of what your reality is, and that reality could be incredibly far removed from the reality you're actually experiencing. Let's take, for example, the pandemic we're living under at the moment. If you give the authorities power and control over the media, they can turn around and gaslight you into thinking absolutely anything they want you to do. And the experience of the last year and a half now has been that they have done exactly that. Now, that is narcissism. Society being narcissistic. In that case, when I say society, I mean those who actually call the shots in society. That would be very few elite individuals, usually with huge money bags and connected to all the means of production and the functions that control our lives, like finance, banking, lawmaking, etc., etc. Now, what's that got to do with me as a person of African origin living in Europe? In the first place, a person like me, according to European culture, doesn't have this, doesn't have mouth. The concept of a person of African origin being a thinker, an opinion former, and an opinion maker doesn't exist. And over the years, by the gaslighting which narcissistic societies, which the let's call them the 1% for want of a better word, have led all of society into believing this is true. And so when a person of African origin speaks up, they're usually marked as either a troublemaker or a nutcase, unless they say exactly what the curated narrative of what's going on in our society um, um, is supposed to be, i.e., unless the person of African origin is being put on a platform to gaslight you, behave like the narcissist on behalf of society's handlers and controllers, they won't be on that platform. That's a real tragedy. Now, everything in what I do is about communication. And I stopped doing the mainstream communication thing because I realized that actually, before they allow you onto the major mainstream platforms, you have already been sufficiently groomed to come there and gaslight society. I didn't want to do that anymore. Um, so the other thing is that uh, having set this situation up, black people themselves have actually been very subtly led to the belief that they're not supposed to be speaking up. It's not their place to speak up. So people of African origin are happy to speak because obviously they got mouths, obviously they got very, very, very astute minds. They're happy to speak to each other, but never into the mainstream society. As a result, the gaslighting is perpetuated and continues. As a result, we even start to lose a grip on the outlook, the perspective, the perceptions of our younger folk. And they have to come along and work through all the rubbish and reinvent the wheel instead of building on what our experience has been. This is another very big problem. So, if society, especially people of African origin, have been led to believe that actually none of us are supposed to be speaking up publicly, we ignore those of us who speak up publicly. Or it becomes a bun fight over accents, and there's an approved accent for way of speaking for people of African origin. It's all utter nonsense. You know it and I know it. However, that narrative flies. So it's a bit like, how can I put it? I was talking with my son about tennis the other day and about serves. And it suddenly occurred to me that actually, if you're a person of African origin who's a broadcaster into the world, it's a little bit like going onto the practice ground and practice serving. So you keep serving and serving and serving. You reach a point where you run out of balls, and you have to go around the other side, collect up all the balls, and start again. But it's a bit as if you're playing tennis with yourself. If you keep hitting the ball over that net, and nobody hits it back at you, or every time they hit the balls that you're serving at them, they sky them out of the ground. It's a waste of time. You're not getting anywhere. And that's exactly what's going to happen unless you're uh, saying what the social narrative is supposed to be. Unless you're coming live like this as I am and gaslighting society, nobody's going to listen. Black people won't listen. People of African origin won't listen. And secondly, the mainstream society won't listen. It's because that's how it's been set up for it to be. It's just an observation. I'm not saying that people don't engage with my posts. Of course they do. Actually, more engage with my posts in Messenger at the back end of this post than you will see visibly. I also find that really, really, really curious. Why are they afraid to let others know that actually I'm engaging with this post and these are my comments on it? It's because they've been taught that it's not your place to speak up. So that's the purpose of this post. If you're a person of African origin, look, never more has it been more important for you to break the cycle of gaslighting, because it's a cycle of gaslighting that's brought us to where we are. We need to be able to speak up, not just to each other, but to any environment which we work in, move in, and engage with other people in. And know you guys don't just engage with people of African origin because we only form 3 to 4% of the population of the United Kingdom. So we're engaging with other people all the time. So what I'm saying is now people have to find their voice, because if they don't find their voice, all they will be able to do is to live the gaslighted, the curated narrative which a society, feeling ashamed of its history, track record, and experience with people of African origin, has to pretend doesn't exist. That's why the gaslighting happens. It's because people are often just ashamed of the history, don't know how to handle it, etc., etc., etc. And what I am saying is that unless you speak up, they won't speak up for you. Unless you speak up, forget it. It's all over. Bar the shouting. And my last word to those guys who say in West Africa that, oh, you got 2 days of heat in London today and so on. Let me tell you, it is sweltering. Today it hit 30 degrees in West London. And the houses here are designed to conserve heat, not to let it blow through the house. So, yeah. But I'm grateful. Okay. Thank you so much. Talk again.